I've been lying down for hours now. It's 5:35 a.m. and there's not much I can do. You know what the worst part about my situation is? I'm in the same room as my parents. They keep looking at me, and I can't help but look back and try not to cry or scream. Their eyes are focused on me, and their mouths are wide open. There's a strong scent of blood, and I feel paralyzed with fear. Here's the thing. The second I make any hint that I'm not asleep anymore, I'm completely screwed. I will die, and there's nobody around to save me. I've been trying to think of a way out, but the only idea I have is to rush for the front door and scream for help, hoping any neighbors hear me. It's risky, but if I stay here, I'll surely die. He's waiting for me to wake up and see his masterpiece. You're probably wondering what's going on. I do tend to get ahead of myself sometimes. About 3 hours ago, I heard screaming from the other side of the house. I got up and went to check on the noise before realizing I had to use the restroom. Instead of doing the smart thing and investigating, I used the bathroom first. I could have gotten myself killed right then for my stupid actions. I did my business and took a peek outside the bathroom. There was blood on the carpet. I got very worried and ran back to my room, hiding under the sheets like the pussy I was. I tried to convince myself to go back to sleep, that it was just some really vivid dream or something, but I heard my bedroom door open. Like the terrified child I was, I peered out from under my blankets to see what was going on. I could see something dragging my dead parents into the room. It was not human, I can tell you that. It was hairless, with no eyes or clothing. It walked like a caveman, with its back slouched as it dragged my parents. But this thing was much smarter than any caveman. It was aware of what it was doing. It propped my dad up on the edge of my bed and made him face me. It then sat my mother down in the chair and positioned her towards me as well. It started rubbing its hands on the walls, staining them with the blood, and then drew a circle with the devil's pentagram in it. This thing had made what it would probably call a masterpiece. To finish it off, it scribbled a message into the wall that I could not read in the darkness. It then positioned itself under my bed, waiting to strike. The scariest thing now is my eyes have adjusted to the darkness since then, and I can read the message on the wall. I don't want to look at it, because it's terrifying to think about, but I feel I need to see before I'm killed. I peek at the creature's masterpiece. It says, "I know you're awake." On the outskirts of a remote Japanese village, there was a dense forest shrouded in mystery and fear. The villagers called it Yurei Forest, a place where the spirits of the dead lingered, trapped in a realm of torment. It was said that the trees themselves fed on the sorrow of the lost souls, and anyone who ventured too far would suffer a gruesome fate. Kazuki, an adventurous but reckless young man, dared to explore the forest, dismissing the warnings of the village elders. Armed with a flashlight and a camera, he ventured into the darkness, intending to capture proof of the supernatural. The forest was eerily quiet, and a thick fog obscured the moonlight, casting ghostly shadows over the twisted trees. The air was heavy with the scent of decay, and the temperature seemed to drop with every step he took. As Kazuki ventured deeper into the forest, he stumbled upon a small, overgrown shrine dedicated to the spirits of the lost. He felt a sudden sense of dread, as if he'd stumbled upon something he shouldn't have. Despite his fear, he raised his camera and took a photo of the shrine. Almost immediately, the atmosphere changed. The fog grew thicker, and the wind howled through the trees, carrying whispers of anguish and despair. Kazuki's flashlight flickered, revealing glimpses of grotesque, mutilated spirits emerging from the darkness. Their twisted forms seemed to merge with the trees, their screams echoing through the night. Terrified, Kazuki tried to flee, but the trees seemed to come alive, their branches reaching out to ensnare him. The spirits drew closer, their distorted faces contorted in agony and malice. He felt their icy touch, sharp like knives, tearing into his flesh. Blood poured from his wounds, staining the forest floor as he struggled to escape their grasp. Despite the excruciating pain, Kazuki managed to break free and stumble deeper into the forest. The spirits pursued him, their wails growing louder and more desperate. He stumbled upon a narrow river, its waters thick with blood and choked with the remains of those who had suffered the same fate. Kazuki tried to cross the river, but the spirits were relentless. They grabbed him, dragging him under the crimson waters. He fought for his life, but their grip was unyielding, their claws sinking deeper into his flesh. His screams were muffled by the blood-filled water as he was slowly dismembered. The following day, a search party from the village found Kazuki's mangled remains on the riverbank, a gruesome testament to the horrors of Yurei Forest. The villagers mourned his loss, but they knew that he had brought the gruesome fate upon himself. The forest continued to cast its dark shadow over the village, a constant reminder of the tormented spirits that dwelled within. My aunt was a con artist, and she learned from the best, her father. Grandpa never made it big, but he lived for the game. Staying under the radar was probably what made sure he never did get caught. Not once. He was so proud of that. My mother didn't take up the family business. She got religious instead and married a tax accountant. It's so ironic that it sounds like it's a joke, but it's true. Dad was the best for helping out with math homework. Mum's more colourful relations were kept at a figurative arm's length throughout my childhood, lest they'd corrupt me into following a more interesting life path. Aunt Cassie was the only one who could wiggle her way into my life. She was fully licensed as a psychologist, which made her a smidge more respectable. But Aunt Cassie used her ability to read a person in a whole different way. One probably not intended by the university, who issued her degree. Aunt Cassie was a bona fide psychic. She had a shop and everything. Crystals, herbs, candles. Anything you needed to fill the mystic void in your life could be bought for a healthy markup at her little store. There was even a private room in the back that was used for readings and seances. Because both my folks worked, I would often get dropped off at the shop where I would help Aunt Cassie out with those little shows. Anything from messing with the lights to knocking on walls, playing with the thermostat was my idea, and it was an effective one. Customers came to get chills down their spine, didn't they? Why not provide? Cassie helped me become the skeptic I am today, showed me all the behind-the-scenes sleight-of-hand stuff. We'd watch daytime talk shows with magicians and mediums, and Cassie would explain every step from a basic rundown of cold readings to how to spot an audience plant. After one particularly convincing episode, I asked the natural question, couldn't some of it be real? My aunt's reply was firm. The dead don't talk, kiddo. Anyone who claims otherwise is blowing smoke out of their ass. It was her conviction, more than anything, that made me believe her. There was only one client I ever saw my aunt refuse. He was old, bald, and stooped, took his hat off when he came inside and twisted it in his hands as he talked. Cassie tensed up immediately when she saw him. The man claimed to have worked in the prison systems, death row. He'd been responsible for carrying out the final punishments of the worst convicted criminals on the planet. In his old age, this tormented him, ate at his soul. He wanted Cassie to contact the souls of the ones he'd killed, so he could apologize and beg their forgiveness before he joined them. My aunt threw the most epic fit. I'd never seen her so mad. She hollered and threw things, shouting for him to shut up and get out. I hid under the counter with my hands over my ears until he left. Later, I thought her reaction was one of fear because of the man's job. An executioner has to be a con artist's worst fear. Eventually I got found out. I wanted to put on a magic show for my folks, and stupidly I thought I'd do a medium bit where I pretended to talk to Grandpa for my mother, since she missed him so much. Huge mistake. My mother freaked the hell out and banned me from seeing her sister ever again. I'd left some textbooks at the shop though, so I got to run in and grab them while my mother fumed in the car outside. Aunt Cassie didn't even have to ask what was wrong. She could read my face. After all, I gave her a hug and a teary, snot-filled goodbye. She did tell me one last secret though. "Kiddo, there's a curse in this family that gets passed like a torch. I hope to whatever gods might be out there that I don't pass it on to you when I go." We didn't get to talk again for more than 9 years. That's when Facebook entered the popular public sphere and no parental ban could keep me from trying to reconnect. It was awkward. She'd had a tough go of life, diagnosed with a schizoid disorder that took her business from her. To pay bills she went legitimate, and with her business went all her zest and playful passion for life. One day, I got home to a message waiting in my inbox that made my stomach drop to the floor. "I love you, kiddo. Remember what I told you." I dialed her number, already crying. No answer. Didn't stop me from dialing again and again and again. I was too much of a mess to tell my mother. The police did that for me the next day. Car accident. Drunk driver. The funeral was a blur. Relatives I'd never seen in the flesh packed the church. I sat between my parents in the front row and racked my brain trying to figure out what it was that my aunt wanted me to remember. We followed the hearse to the cemetery in dead silence. The priest did that last little speech, and then I was left alone by her headstone, still straining to remember. Snatches of my parents' conversation floated in and out of my attention span. If only Cassie hadn't been so cryptic. "Expecting such a small turnout is a shame." Small turnout? That bothered me. The service had practically been stuffed to the rafters. I turned around to say something and finally understood. Behind my parents there was a whole host of people, all standing and staring, dead ahead. My parents weren't paying them the slightest attention. The priest muttered some soothing condolences and excused himself, walking right through the thick of the crowd without disturbing a single soul. At the head of the group, looking just like the day I'd seen her last, was Cassie. All the rest in peace sentiment in the world wouldn't have done her any good. Her mouth was wide, wide, wide open, and just like that, I knew. I know what the family curse is. I know why the dead don't talk. They're too busy screaming. Hey guys, thanks for listening. If you want to hear more scary stories, please subscribe and I'll keep them coming. Until next time.